Welcome to the Growth Over Grades podcast, a show connecting you with thought leaders, pioneers, and change agents who are leading the charge to support schools and districts in making the shift toward competency-based education and to promote growth over grades. I'm Jordan Lewis, and on the show today, we hear from innovative educator and leader Cynthia Ritchie, Superintendent of New London Schools in New London, Connecticut. Cynthia's journey in education began at a young age, seeking opportunities to engage with students through volunteering and community projects. She started in the classroom as an elementary school teacher and has since been a secondary teacher, special education teacher, principal, assistant superintendent, college professor, and most recently as superintendent. As a lifelong learner, Cynthia has earned 5 degrees and 9 certifications, which allows her to engage and lead innovative practices and initiatives across New London schools. Today, we dive deep into Cynthia's experiences and philosophies in leading with passion and how passion leads to engagement for all stakeholders in the school community. We chat about moving away from the traditional school year calendar, the outcomes of what a full year school year can bring, and how to dream big but start small, and how leveraging partnerships can lead to positive change. Cynthia shares her tips and tricks on bringing about innovation in school districts and how to keep the students at the center of the work. Now to my conversation with Cynthia Ritchie. Cynthia, it's so great to have you on today's show. Thank you for spending some time with us. I know how crazy busy it is running a school district, and we definitely appreciate the minutes that you're putting aside to share with us here today. Cynthia, as we are about to get started, how are you feeling? How are things going with you as we ramp up into the school year?
We are so excited to have so many students with us throughout the summer. So we're serving about 800 students currently, which has been great through some of our innovative programs that we have here with keeping our doors open and our classrooms full throughout the summer. At the same time, we are continuing to plan some really innovative launches that are brand new this year, including a new district improvement plan and a strategic plan for each school. So there's a lot of active, thought-provoking work that's happening that's focused on students and student achievement. And at the same time, we're welcoming some great new members to our team through active hiring. So there is a lot of excitement happening, and we're looking forward to a start to the rest of our school year coming up really soon.
Yeah, and I know that final piece of the rest of the school year for folks that are listening, we are recording this episode a little bit before the release, and we're going to talk about it a little later, some of the cool innovative programming that Cynthia, your district is doing around sort of moving away from the traditional school year model per se. But before we get into some of those innovative programmings that you've mentioned, can you just talk to us a little bit about your background in education and the journey to where you got to today as superintendent?
Absolutely. I think I was born to be an educator. It's throughout the blood from top to bottom. And I've only ever had a job actually where I've worked with children my whole life. So starting young and babysitting or volunteering or working in a church, summer camp, so forth and so on. That has been my journey. Since then, I've continued to model being a lifelong learner, and I've earned 5 different degrees in education, which have really afforded me 9 different certifications, and I was able to be blessed to use them all. So I have taught as an elementary teacher, a secondary teacher. I've taught within special education programming. I'm a certified reading consultant. I've worked with MLL students. I've taught at the college level, been a principal, assistant superintendent, and superintendent. So I feel really excited that I had those blessings to learn about the different intricacies throughout all grade levels and what happens in the classroom with different learning styles and different learning design and different needs of students, families, and actually staff. So I'm really passionate about how the brain works and how every student needs something different, which has really driven me to push the needle on trying to change our system of education, because first of all, it's over 200 years old, and it definitely does not meet the needs of our learners today. And quite frankly, I think the profession of education has to be uplifted because it's not meeting the needs of the professionals nor the families today.
Right.
So that is really, besides my day job, I do a lot outside of my day job, really promoting changes in education. And also do a lot at the state level here in Connecticut to try to use my voice to make change.
And I think, Cynthia, it's a really important call out that we are still stuck in a 200-year-old education system. And we'll definitely be diving deep into some of that personalized learning that you focus on. But I'm really curious, as you were talking through, being a lifelong learner, having that opportunity to explore a lot of different areas of interest for you that, led to additional degrees. I'm just curious, when you think about that passion for yourself, how do you bring that into your role as a leader, leading teachers? Do you feel like that's developing a culture around a growth mindset within your school district?
Absolutely. No matter what my title is, I'm still a teacher. Always will be a teacher. And I leverage that to build capacity. So my philosophy of leadership is I am most successful when my team is most successful. And my team will tell you, actually, I say all the time, I will know I hit success when you don't need me anymore. You don't need to see me. I am not the one sole solution here. It's building the teams that can lead and trusting my teams. So we do a lot of professional development within our educators as well as within our leaders. This summer, we are leveraging a book study as we're rewriting a strategic plan and a district improvement plan and focusing a lot on data and research and what it means to the population we're serving. Because you can read a book, but until you really apply and know your students and the needs and where they're coming from, that has been instrumental to the work that we're doing here. And I share that because data on paper is one thing, but it's the stories behind the data that matter. And that is what we are leveraging as we're continuing to plug along and promote change. And last year we had a lot of new kind of aha moments as we did a research study with Columbia University interviewing our newcomer students at the high school level. And wow, did we learn, right from their mouths, the stories of their journey, of how they define the goal of education, what their hopes and dreams are, and how we can fast track them to support, that work. And that is where it just reiterated to me that I believe I'm on the right track, where we have to update the system.
Right.
Not for everybody.
And it's just really kind of hitting home how, as you're approaching this, with that latest example, you talk about, gathering that voice of those individuals to allow that story to be told. And it's the stories that matter more than the data. And data is useful. It helps to inform, but it's those nuances of the story that become really, really critical. And you have this idea of leading professional learning through a book study. And Cynthia, I hear this becoming more of a trend with school districts these days, where they're engaging in literature in a book study type format. And, just to double click on that really quickly, because I'm really curious, when I would think of a book study in my traditional context, it's like, okay, Jordan, you read a book, maybe answer some inquiry questions, and then kind of move on. So how does this book study approach differ with your staff as you're looking to actually apply what it is that you're reading about?
Sure. I'm not sure if I can share the name of the book we're working on. So I'll kind of leave that out. But the goals of the book are to really dig deep in principals, teachers, students, and I'm adding an extra layer of parents, owning shared responsibilities for achievement and success in goal setting and monitoring. And it does tie back to knowing our students and the story. If you look at accountability frameworks, let's just say across, in our state, I don't think we're measuring all of the right things because it's the story that tells the background of the numbers. We have so much transiency here in our school district that the numbers almost become meaningless for a lot of our teachers. Only 44 of our students, as of the graduating class, stayed in our city for K through 12. So that's just one example out of a large school district. How many different changes students may have and may bring with them as they enter and exit and come back or what have you to a new school district. So through our book study, the book is guiding us to know our students first, know who we serve, really analyze data, and not just write a school goal, but actually have an overarching school goal, but then have a goal per grade level. Let's say, for example, aligned to literacy, because this is one of the areas we're focusing on. So there'll be, based on data, a goal for the school, a goal for the grade level, a line goal for the teacher, and then the student has an individualized goal, and then we're adding a family goal. So that is new, where we don't want to look at measures where we're kind of in the dark of, well, we think students are going to grow, let's say in reading proficiency between September and January. We do measure that 3 times per year. 3 times per year is not enough.
Right.
We have added measures that may not be deemed as, the most meaningful to, let's say, a state department, but they're meaningful to us because we want to make sure students are on a track to growth weekly. So there are a lot of different measures that we value that actually show if students are on a trajectory for meeting reading proficiency. So for example, a running record, which is an observation of a young student actually decoding and stopping at punctuation and sounding out words and making meaning of a string of words for comprehension. That is huge, valuable data for an educator to know and then take action to. So we are creating new levels of accountability, new spaces for teachers to talk about these sub-tests. Many could be qualitative or, or quantitative. And ultimately, what is the student's individualized goal? So instead of the broad strokes of we're expecting this and we're doing lots of things behind the scenes, we want to actually talk about what's happening behind the scenes, talk about the weekly progress, talk about if the family knows even what the standards are and
right.
what are. And that, as simple as it sounds, is a missing piece for many. If you just sent home the standards document, it's overwhelming for families. So some of my work is to create a portrait of what I call a 3rd grade graduate, a portrait of an 8th grade graduate, portrait of a 12th grade graduate, so we can code what we know students should be able to master to be most successful for their journey, beyond K-12
right.
and into life. And that also includes things like health and wellness and social emotional learning and appreciation for diversities and cultures and foods and arts and music and all of the above.
Right.
So we look for the well-roundedness and how to measure it and make sure students are on track, including connectedness. Do they have a trusted adult or some kind of club or activity where they can find their passion? Because I think that is the true aim of education.
Absolutely. And I think it's a really good, important stance to say that you believe some of the measurements that are being done are not the right measurements. And instead of trying to determine, you just took the stance and you just said, this is what we're going to do. You made an action plan and you brought it to the forefront. But where I'm really curious about is we hear often that as these new initiatives come online, and you talked about that portrait of a graduate, as a leader, Cynthia, how are you leading this vision to life? How are you getting the culture of alignment towards the strategic plan? How are you making some of these things not just appear as another compliance checkbox that I have to hit off? Like, how are your teachers getting bought into this?
Well, it's multiple steps, and it's asking a lot of questions and engaging all in the decision making. So So as I say, we are working on writing a new strategic plan that may panic someone to say, oh my goodness, school starts soon. Why isn't it done? Where isn't the pretty package? But I'm okay with that because people are vested when they create their own goals. So the district is having the overarching aims. We're going to have 3. We're not going to have 103. We're going to have 3 major focuses. And it's attendance to include engagement, math, and literacy. We are an opportunity district, which means one of the highest needs districts in the state of Connecticut. We are one of the 10 highest needs districts, and that already is aligned to the work expected in these areas. We also ground our work, as we are an all magnet, really cool theme-based district. Our work will be grounded in celebrating of diversities as superpowers, and also in promoting connectedness for all. So we openly admit that a school district can't do everything for every student, but instead, as we embrace our resources around us and our parents, as parents are their child's first teacher, we can do amazing things together. So when you do look at our district vision, it is to unite in excellence. And that is, to kind of bring everyone together around a common theme and goal. So back to your question. So it's a multi-step process where it's sequential and it's aligned, really, straightforward. It's nothing new for teachers other than it's acknowledging the teacher's work and the students' progress day to day. And quite frankly, I think teachers don't have enough time or opportunity to highlight their success. So this is a good thing. This is where we're going to be talking more about instruction. We're going to be celebrating more about, gains in growth and gains in proficiency, with students understanding their goals. That is another, seems simple, but on the day-to-day, I would say not every student really understands the aims of every class and the direction that they're going in. This will help them have their own goal chart. The schools will be lined with visuals. So we will be celebrating the success in our goals with lots of visuals, poster charts with graphs and stars or charts, or recognition ceremonies, highlights on our oral announcements in the morning. So this is going to, turn what's on paper alive to a culture that focuses on learning and success and celebration around the awesomeness that I do believe is present in our staff and our students.
And as you're speaking, it makes me just think, Cynthia, imagine this world. An alien comes down to Earth and they say, what is school? What is education, right? And what you just painted, the picture you just painted, should be what it is. It's a place that is individualized for people to explore what they're passionate about and learn on a track that is right for them, and to be able to focus on instruction as educators, the best practices to support the needs of our students. And I think that is what it is, but in theory, it is, the most simple thing to say, but we're moving through these systematic changes, which I think, you're leading with a emphasis that the change is going to be happening in a way that's really inspiring. But just, you mentioned a few moments ago some magnet work, and you're doing some really cool learning and some really amazing work. Just to take 2 steps back before a step forward, can you just break down for us, what the magnet school model is within your context, and kind of how this program has evolved and how it's going to support your students?
Sure. So we are going to be the first and only all magnet school district in the state of Connecticut, public school district. And that means students from around the state, no matter where they live, no matter what their zip code is, can come and apply to come to our school district. Our school district has been transforming inside and out. This plan began back in 2012, so much before my time here. And one of the 3 pathways was completed, but ultimately we are now at the last leg of the plan, which will bring forth 3 unique pathways. One pathway is arts, where we do visual and performing arts, incredible facilities. We just finished a huge construction project. We have one of the nicest auditoriums, stages, recording rooms, dance rooms, theater rooms that I would say I've ever seen. So our students are truly on stage and shining. So we're so proud of that. We have a STEM pathway, which includes science, technology, engineering. We've also added manufacturing to the program. So we are looking to get students interested in STEM careers sooner than later, and actually getting them connected to resources in the community and even into employment, so that they have excitement and see their future and the connections between what they're learning in the classroom and the real world. And our last pathway, which is in the starting phase at the elementary level, is our international education pathway. And we're really excited about that. It's going to tie together social justice themes and the United Nations standards to really help promote active citizenship and leadership and participation in communities and making a difference in the world. So that is the one that we will have completed K-5 this year, and then it will grow up 6 through 12 and beyond. So we're really excited about these opportunities and quite frankly, getting students from different communities to meet each other. And that goes back to our theme of connectedness.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
I'm just picturing the opportunity for students, not only in your community, but more regionally where your district is located, having the opportunity and just gaining the chance to say, hey, this is something that I'm passionate about. And Cynthia, you mentioned a little bit ago, the idea that when you know your student and you're able to align to their passion and interest, that you're going to do amazing things, but also recognizing and kind of having that vulnerable mindset that not all school districts can do everything for every student. Mm-hmm. But it seems like with this magnet model that you are looking to provide more rich opportunities, not only for your community, but perhaps for students outside of your community as well. And I'm curious if this is leading to some more unique partnerships with other school districts that are located kind of in a similar geographic area, or partnerships with unique community businesses or stakeholders in that sense. Like, is it leading to a really amazing network?
Absolutely. Yes. So partners in our community and around southeastern Connecticut, yes. So we rely on many of them for a variety of purposes. Many do volunteer programs here within our buildings. We have some guest speakers that do educational programs in our classrooms. Some are leveraged for field trip opportunities. We actually go out to their sites to visit. We run a birth to age 8 community engagement event every month, and that is where a slew of partners come and they set up their tables, and we provide resources to our early childhood families. So we have a ton of partner opportunities. So we're super excited about that. As for other unique things, I'm glad you asked. I know I am the leader that should just keep saying innovation all over my head. I love promoting it. But we're just about to launch something called a regional remote partnership with 5 school districts in our area. So although the other 4 are not magnet schools, we put our heads together and we said some teacher shortage areas are concerning. We want the best teachers for all of our students. We want certified teachers, aligned to state requirements, but also that are exceptional with great backgrounds in education. So what else can we do to share in that work, share in the cost, but also bring our students together for unique opportunities for learning that expand beyond the school day? So through this regional remote partnership, we're going to be offering classes that happen either before or after school. They will be a combination of virtual and in-person classes in our different school districts. So students will be able to experience coming and visiting in other schools. And some of the courses that we're going to be offering are really unique. So titles that are not the traditional mold, but yet will allow students to gain credits and have some flexibility in that they won't have to sit in high school, let's say from 8 to 3, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, because that's not the life that many can fit schooling into anymore. And I share that because I can tell you from experience here, many students have jobs or want to have jobs, or they have young siblings that they are caring for or helping, or have other conflicts that are not caused by their own, and they have to respond to that, as well as try to keep up with the pressures of fitting into this 200-year-old model. So through this method, we are putting our heads together, I think, with many benefits. So we're excited to be the first to launch this in the state of Connecticut.
It's an important call out as we're discussing things today, Cynthia, that, and you've mentioned it a few times, that you need to know your learner and you need to know who is coming into your buildings, and understanding those realities is leading you to innovate to better meet the needs of those students. And it's taking a creative approach to involve the community and other districts through partnership, which is something to definitely be celebrated as we're looking at changing the tone of districts kind of competing for programming. Instead, like, let's band together and offer what is going to best suit our students, which I think is a really, really beautiful sentiment, because at the end of the day, it's about the learner. And again, let's use this as an opportunity to celebrate some of these innovative pieces that you're doing. But just rolling forward here with innovation, within New London Schools, you've begun to move towards a really interesting model of, and I believe you're exploring sort of this full year model of schooling. Is this something that is part of your innovative approach? Like, talk to us a little bit about what this model is and what's it doing for your students.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. So, as I had shared a lot today, I would say, the staff here would say their superintendent asks them often to learn and to dream big. So this model actually came out of what I call dreaming big meetings. And I had a variety of open call meetings to say, let's talk about education. Let's talk about what's working. Let's talk about what's not. If you could dream big, what would be the one problem that kind of drives you crazy during the day when you're questioning, why do we keep doing it this way, and what could we do about it? Or what is something innovative or unique that we are not thinking of yet that we might be able to fit in? And we've had some great conversations. So I did a lot of listening and note taking and thinking, and I always knew that was my passion, but to your point, where you have to listen to who you're serving and working with, there was really power in that collaboration. So I think I conducted about 41 meetings over several months. And then I designed a year-round model. And I said, okay, I have enough. I'm going to figure this out. And I designed a year-round model. And the model tried to accomplish solutions for what teachers asked for, students asked for, and families asked for. And of course, grounded in hopefully some more student achievement. And those were the ultimate aims. So the model is designed where it's not year round, in that we've added more to the school year. So instead, I leveraged the way it's laid out during a calendar year. So students pretty much come to school for 6 weeks, and then there's about a 2-week break in between. And that goes around the calendar year.
Right.
And I set it up so that teachers teach in teams of 2. So teachers are never alone. So there's 2 teachers, and it's a multi-age, multi-year model. So it's a 2-year model with the same set of teachers for a total of 12 sessions. And I'm so proud to say that it's working. I mean, it's working incredibly well. Our students in this model are outpacing outcomes compared to the traditional 10-month model. And I would say there's many reasons for that. The model, the 6-week session is really designed where we took a look at the curriculum and we kind of compacted the curriculum with priority standards. And since it's multi-age, we have a K1, a 2-3, a 4-5. We're adding preschool as well this year. Teachers are really knowing their students, and then they're differentiating based on the standards. And in a traditional model, there's a lot of standards, let's say. And a kindergarten teacher or first grade teacher may focus a lot on the grade level they're assigned, but not necessarily always look ahead or below.
Right.
And in this model, it allows collaboration daily for the teachers, and they have that free range to take a look at what's coming ahead and below. And that in and of itself has opened up huge growth, learning for the teachers, but growth for the students. They have resources that are multiple levels in the classroom. And at the end of every 6-week session, there's a parent component where parents actually come into the classroom and they see the students' scoreboards. The students are presenting end of semester projects, let's say, or they're showing them their data journals or showing them their writing journals. And then the parents stay with the teachers and participate in professional development. So the parents understand what are the tools and resources that are being used in the classroom, what are the standards, how did my child do this term? We're going to take a break now, and then when we come back, I understand what's going to be taught, as we move forward. So there's a lot more conversation about what are the aims again? What are we trying to do? What are the tools? How are we going to get there? And what are some great practices that the teacher is using, but also the parent can use at home to supplement education. The other benefit is that during the 2 weeks, quote, off, there are many choices. So choice is a key word here as we transform education. So through these choices, parents can choose to travel, let's say, or take a true family break. And many do go out of the country if they have relatives in other areas. So attendance has helped because they have other opportunities during the school year to travel, let's say, where flights may not be as costly because they're not scheduled around traditional schooling models. So besides a break or travel, we also offer virtual check-ins. We do home visits, so teachers could get paid extra to go do virtual tutoring or go to the home to check in with the family, and that helps bridge that relational piece. Again, know who you're serving. As teachers know that, it opens up a lot more customized planning and instruction for the student. And then we also offer really cool things like coupons to local museums or discounts to our partners. And I'm so proud that every student in this program has also received swimming lessons. And that's something that we would never be able to fit in the traditional model. So I'm really, really proud of it. It's growing. I have a whole plan to bring it all the way up to 12th grade and beyond, and we'll be publishing that soon. But most importantly, the students are succeeding.
As you're explaining this model, Cynthia, it just made me kind of reflect a bit back on the experiences that I had going through the traditional system, but also as a classroom teacher. And, when you're talking about your students outpacing as they're moving through the learning, it just made me think of when I would structure my classroom, September was always built around where are my students at, trying to catch them up, doing review from the previous year. And then, you're halfway through that first month, maybe even through the first month before you're starting on new content. So as a teacher, I'm rushing because now I'm behind where my long range plan is setting. I should be. You get to the holiday season, you're not doing new learning. Families are taking their students out of the class. It's assemblies and festivals. And then you get through back into the new year. Again, there's that sort of learning loss. You're trying to catch up. It's spring break, same sort of thing. And then you're at the end of the year. It's report cards, it's grading, and it's wrapping up. And when I actually would look at the year as a whole, I would think, I had 10 months of schooling, but really there were 7.5 months of actual teaching opportunity. But in this model, there's so much less of that learning loss, because students are never taking 2 months out of class where they're, sitting at home playing video games, watching TV, which I think is a really important call out why this model is also helping. But more than that, you've emphasized the impact on the family and the community in a really beautiful way. Families being able to spend more quality time with their students because they aren't having this 2-month break, and it's tough for families. They don't have 2 months of vacation. They get, the traditional 2 weeks. They don't have to try to find what to do with their child throughout those summer months, and they can actually spend the quality time with their family when they have the opportunity to do so. And again, in that reflection, I even just think of my family. I have a 7-year-old niece, and it's always a struggle in the summer of how are we going to put them in day camp? How many camps? Who can watch for this week because we can't find a camp, right? And it seems like, Cynthia, you're listening to the needs of your community and you're solving that problem through this model, which also then is leading to amazing outcomes for your students.
Mm-hmm. And I'm so excited. And so you hit another big outcome that we're focusing on, and that is reducing transition time. Because you're right. In a traditional model, the whole month of September is building routines and building relationships. And here they know their students and their families, and they get to spend time for a long period of time, for 2 whole years with the same student. So it's that commitment that really matters. And I associate it to like a surgeon. And yes, I would say educators are just as valuable as surgeons. You would not want one person who doesn't know your health history to operate on you. It's always done in a team. It's always done with people who research and collaborate. It's always done with a connection to the family before anything that large happens to your care. I want the same for education. So through this model, you have that team, you have the relationship, you have time for the history to look at data and to understand, and then to do something about the data. And even the sequential stops of the session and then a break, session and a break. In a traditional model, teachers, quite frankly, they barely have time to run down to the restroom or have lunch. They may schedule they're going to have data team meetings, but they don't always happen. And that could be due to substitutes or due to other issues or the phone ringing. This gives logical breaks to really take time to analyze your data, and not just year-end data or mid-year data, but data on the unit you have taught regarding content standards that we know need to be mastered so students can be proficient and lifelong learners and readers and producers. So we're really, really excited about this. We did partner with our city here, and our Park and Rec department is offering childcare in our schools in the off weeks. So I forgot to mention that is yet another option, right, where if families needed childcare, the students still have the same routine. We do free lunch and free meals and snacks 4 times per year. 4 times per day. So that is still all regular cycles. Students can still take the same bus. They go home at the same time. They have the same recess, the same essentials. And it's just really great. So I'm really proud. That was a real dream big and take a risk. And I'll tell you, not everyone's ready for that risk. There was a lot of like, oh, this sounds kind of cool, but I'm not sure.
Right.
And then we posted the position, and some brave teachers chose to apply and be considered, and they haven't left the program yet. Anyone who comes in is loving it because the teachers like being on the cycle of a break too. Like mental health wise, being able to catch your breath and again, just prepare and collaborate before you get back into the classroom is powerful. And they're not doing it alone anymore in a classroom with 24 kids. All right. And another benefit that we didn't plan, 2 other benefits, students in this model most likely did not have a substitute, because you always have at least one, that common person that students know who can continue with the routines. And second, we didn't plan on this, but some teachers are choosing to earn extra salary by substituting in their own classroom, in their own schools on the off weeks.
Okay.
So they have a choice if they want to take a break, if they want to travel, if they want to tutor, but they can also be substitutes and earn their daily rate to help a colleague within the school by substituting in another class, earn extra salary. But that is a benefit too, because they can see now, let's say they teach third grade, but they're substituting in fifth grade. They're like, oh, this is what fifth grade curriculum, looks like, feels like. They have that opportunity to really see the big picture and make those connections.
As well, if they're, that third grade teacher subbing in grade 5, there's a chance that they've taught that student in the past. So now they're also able to further that relationship with the student and see, hey, this is where they're at in their learning, alongside exploring all those other benefits, which I think, for a teacher, when you build those relationships, the hardest part is when that student leaves your classroom and you think, what are they going to do? I want to be able to keep that relationship with those students. So that's always a nice benefit for those teachers as well.
Correct.
And it seems like, with this model, you're doing a lot of, it's always becoming a teacher retention strategy as well, Cynthia. We know that the teacher shortage is such a challenge across our system. And in this model, it's giving educators the opportunity to try something that's new and innovative. But as you mentioned, the mental health opportunities for the break to step away is really allowing them to have more job satisfaction, and to it's becoming a great retention vehicle. You're not having teachers leave this program and going back to the way things were. They're invested in this new model, which I think the risk is paying off when you look at the bigger picture of what you guys have accomplished.
Thank you. I agree. And we're really proud of it.
Just as we kind of segue, something that I'm really interested in, and you've mentioned it throughout our conversation, ensuring that students are proficient in the learning standards, and that ties beautifully to the idea of the portrait of a graduate that you're developing, the portrait of a third grade student, an eighth grade student, and a 12th grade student. How connected do you see things like this new model or your magnet school opportunities to this portrait of a graduate? And, is this further adjusting your system to move in that competency-based direction?
It's very much aligned. So as we've talked today, I believe success of a student has to be aligned to a balance. So it's really, to me, it's body, mind, spirit, passion, connections, health and wellness, meaning physical health, also emotional wellness, as well as mastering the content standards. So we have designated, we kind of have core standards, which are your graduation requirements, your mandated basic core math, literacy, science, social studies, et cetera, for graduation. And then we have theme-based standards that focus on integrating our arts, our STEM, and our international pathways. But then we also are guiding students to create personal plans to find their talents and their interests, and then make sure they have an opportunity to grow those. So at the elementary level, students get to choose between elementary themed schools, and that's oftentimes where they find their passion, or they can change schools if they want to try a new theme versus one that they started with. At the secondary level, we have a large multi-magnet campus, so everything's under one roof.
Right.
And students can integrate in between classes to try to learn their passions. And at the high school level, we're focusing on college and career preparation tied to passions. So everything is aligned, but we're trying to, again, listen to the students and then leverage voice and choice. So those are also some keywords throughout our district. Another example of innovation is working with our community partners to bring forth new opportunities for certification pathways towards careers. An example of that is our recent partnership with a beautician school, where our students in high school now have a new choice to take courses to become certified in barbering, eyelashes, nails, and they're so excited about that because high school traditionally wouldn't allow that opportunity.
Sure.
But yet they will be able to complete a certification quote degree and be able to be employed or start their own business prior to graduating high school, which is so cool. So I'd say our model is tied to understanding individuals, understanding their learning style, their passions or interests, and then having opportunities to guide them to say there are multiple ways to success. And using your gifts and your talents to make a better impact in the world makes me feel like students are successful. So we want them to be individual and reliant and proud of who they are, but also contributing to make the world a better place.
I think the breaking down of that stigma of there is kind of one path to post-secondary, and you're focusing a lot on that there are multiple ways to success, is something that we need to just continuously reinforce in all of our schools. When Correct. A lot of students are moving through the system, they think there's one way to go. I'm going to go through, graduate from grade 12, and I have to go to a post-secondary education. If I don't go in that direction, there's no future for me. And, for some that are listening, that may resonate with you. That was the story that I was told when I was going through K-12. And I don't say that as a detriment to how I was brought through school or how I was raised to go through with the future. But that was just a narrative that was told for me. And I just love how you're breaking that stigma down, and that there is no right pathway, or there's no one pathway, that it's going to look different for each student, and you're connecting opportunities for those individual students. And I think, Cynthia, that narrative kind of plays into a lot of the innovation that you're bringing into your district, whether it's through that full year model, whether it's through the magnet schools and the differentiated pathways, whether it's through the community partnerships that you're bonding, you're allowing that voice to be heard in a really amazing way, that I think is just going to really enlighten the future to students and families and communities to know what is possible with our education system.
Thank you. We also opened a welcome center recently. So that was another innovation where we're using it for central registration for students and visitors, but we're also using it to do innovative things for adult development. So here we actually partnered with a college, and the college is coming to us to provide classes for non-certified employees who want to become certified teachers. So we're really excited about that. We will have 8 future graduates that will join the profession of teaching through that partnership. And we're also leveraging the big open space to start to bring in career fairs for students to, so not just college fairs, but college and career fairs where they can talk about different education pathways, even entrepreneurship pathways, and start to talk to people in the field all in one space. Because oftentimes students who don't have an opportunity to get out of, let's say, out of their community, out of their home, they need to see what else is out there. They need to really experience a future that is not the same old cycle of routine that was their childhood. And that has been hugely powerful. And many of our students may have challenges with transportation. So in talking with them and learning about that was another issue that we wanted to find a solution. So offering these college and career fairs on our site in one location is our opportunity to bring the world to them.
It's like almost every time, Cynthia, you just are sharing more innovative initiatives that your district is launching, and through the collaborations that your team is doing, you're bridging a lot of gaps within the community and aligned with your, and I say your team's vision for a better education system, because as you mentioned right on the outset, it's not you, it's your team. You're all working collaboratively together. But we have a lot of listeners that are leaders who are looking to bring upon change, or looking to innovate. What advice would you give to a leader who is looking to take a risk, to change something, to try something new within their district? What advice would you give to them to take that first step forward?
I would say you're on the right path. Make that T-chart of pros and cons, but ultimately keep students at the center. And if it's something you're trying to push forward that will benefit students, will not cause harm to adults, will not break contracts, will not be wildly innovative to offend anybody, there are ways you can leverage the tools in front of you to do amazing things that are innovative. And we're going to keep doing that here. You may not have everybody to sign up, but I think through that word choice, that is something that we're promoting: choice for staff as professionals, and choice for families as their child's first teacher and decision maker. We want to offer as many different choices as we can to help students really develop that love for learning and that belief in themselves, so that they can be successful graduates, and no matter what program they choose, and contributing members of society.
Amazing. Keeping your students at the center and pushing the boundaries towards change with innovation. Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. It's been amazing to hear about all the work that you're doing, not only within New London, but around the state of Connecticut. We appreciate all your insights today, and thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
That was inspiring superintendent and innovator Cynthia Ritchie, superintendent of New London Schools. Check out the show notes on how you can keep up with Cynthia's work, or how you can contact her for more information on bringing about change in your district. Thanks so much for listening to the show, and please make sure to hit the follow button on your podcast app so you never miss an episode. I'm Jordan Lewis, and you've been listening to the Growth Over Grades podcast.